That night, the municipal hospital looked like a ship lost in the dark. The emergency lights flickered every few seconds, and the sound of mechanical respirators formed a cold, metallic melody. The air smelled of alcohol, blood, and silence. The kind of silence that weighs on your shoulders and suffocates even your thoughts. Helena walked slowly, her eyes heavy with exhaustion, her heart tight with something she couldn't quite name. 12 years in the profession, and she still hadn't grown used to death. At exactly 3:14 a.m., the digital clock glowed red on the wall, the time the nurses called the hour of restless souls. It was when machines failed for no reason, patients suddenly worsened, and sometimes someone swore they saw shadows moving through the halls. In room 207, Mr. Augusto's body rested beneath a white sheet. He was 78, and even in death, his expression seemed to beg forgiveness from someone unseen. Helena stepped inside just to make sure everything was ready for transport. She touched the edge of the bed, adjusted the sheet, and then the impossible happened. "Helena!" The voice was rough, scraping the air like it came from underground. Helena froze, her blood turning to ice. She looked around, empty. The heart monitor, which had been turned off hours ago, suddenly lit up. A trembling green line flickered across the screen, letting out a sharp, piercing tone. "Helena, don't let room 210. The sheet moved, slightly, as if the body beneath it had just taken a breath. Helena stumbled backward, the clipboard crashing to the floor, papers scattering like frightened birds. She stood there, panting, eyes wide, unable to move. It couldn't be. The man had been dead for 4 hours, but the voice echoed in her mind again. "Don't let room 210. Driven by an instinct she didn't understand, Helena ran down the corridor. Her footsteps echoed like drum beats. When she burst into room 210, her heart nearly stopped. A young woman, barely 20, lay unconscious in a medically induced coma after a terrible car crash. The heart monitor beeped erratically, and the oxygen tube had come loose. Helena grabbed it, reconnected it, and yelled for help. The doctors rushed in, and after several endless minutes, the monitor stabilized. The girl was alive. By seconds, alive. Hours later, the dawn crept in through the grimy cafeteria windows. Helena sat trembling, holding a cup of cold coffee. She tried to convince herself it had been exhaustion, hallucination, anything but real. Then she noticed the patient's chart on the table. Her hands went numb. Name, Clara Augusta Ribeiro. The same last name as the man in room 207. Helena's heart sank. She stood, her steps heavy, and walked toward the morgue. Each echo of her shoes against the tile felt louder than the last. The distant squeak of a stretcher, the static of a silent radio, and that strange cold that seemed to blow from nowhere. Standing before the body, she took a deep breath, lifted the sheet and looked at the calm face of Mr. Augusto. "She was your granddaughter, wasn't she?" For a moment, the air itself seemed to stop. The lights flickered, the generator groaned, and then, on the morgue's turned-off monitor, a green line appeared, anti-steady, glowing, a single heartbeat, a sign. Helena covered her mouth, tears spilling uncontrollably. The sheet moved once more, and softly, like the old man exhaled one last breath. And the faint hum of the monitor shaped itself into a whisper, mechanical yet human, saying, "Thank you." The next morning, doctors couldn't explain how patient Clara had suddenly begun to recover after days in a deep coma. Days later, she opened her eyes and whispered a name she could not possibly know. "Helena." The nurse broke down, crying. She knew that thank you had come from somewhere beyond what science could reach. Since that night, whenever the clock strikes, Helena feels a chill sweep through the corridor. The lights flicker, the air thickens, and sometimes amidst the hum of respirators, she hears a distant voice, mild, calm, protective, almost like a prayer. "Helena, keep saving the ones I couldn't." And that's why, after all these nights, Helena is no longer afraid of death, because she learned that some miracles only happen after the heart stops beating.